My name is Amy Gossett, and I teach theater, speech, and broadcasting.
Sonia McGowan. I teach Spanish 2 and 3.
Mel Chartier, and I teach social studies, primarily AP Government and World History.
Patrick Mooney. I'm currently in my 19th year in mathematics, and I'm currently teaching pre-calculus and geometry A.
My name is Diana Uffman. I teach English 3 in person, English 1 in person, and then I teach English 1 virtual.
I think the biggest difference is the masks, that there's we're not being able to see anything below the eyes. But in terms of being able to teach in a manner that is most conducive to learning in a classroom space, I think we're as close as we can get at the current moment.
And I am half virtual, half in person, so that's very different as well. In that year, I would have had no idea how to do what I'm doing virtually.
I have had to completely change how I approach school and how I approach learning and how I approach student engagement, because school is not the same as it was in so many ways. Just kids are more emotionally in tune. Some of them aren't at all emotionally in tune. And they have, I'm teaching a different kind of student. I'm not teaching the same kind of students that I taught 3 years ago.
And I've really kind of rethought a lot of like my group conversations and group work, where I'm kind of avoiding them in some ways more than I did before. Avoiding having kids like get into small groups or work on projects or posters and things like that in class where they're going to be in closer proximity. So I'm still doing some of those things, but like I said, that just seems to be more on my mind than it's been in the past.
I have had to become extremely organized in my thought process and how I plan. Before COVID, everything was always, it was kind of like, oh, I've taught this for however many years. This is the pace that it goes at. This is what I need. I didn't have to be I didn't feel like I had to be as formal with my organization. But switching last year and this year, I have found that for myself and for my students, to document everything, link everything, have everything accessible in an outline form, in a calendar form, to have that visual component is so important, especially if you get lost or have a glitch or, can't come to school that day, whether it be virtual or in person. And so a lot of the things that I learned last year, I have carried over to this year, even for my in-person classes.
So I think for me, it's actually very hard, because I come here and I'm like, oh, I have all this energy and I'm ready to go and I move pretty fast, but I can gauge where everyone is. So we're okay. So then I go on Zoom and I'm trying to keep up that same energy and that same speed, but students are like, oh wait, my document's still loading. Or wait, can you go back? I'm having a hard time typing and watching you at the same time. And there's different like modes of teaching that you have to go into, which I think is a little bit more difficult, because when I do it on Zoom, it's like pausing and waiting. Does everyone load? We all loaded. Okay, now let's go. And then with my classes, while they have their cameras on, as we all know, that lovely like ceiling forehead look that everyone does on Zoom, it's still, I think after seeing humans in my other classes, it's so much easier to feed off of and as a teacher just to like engage with. And the forehead fan is like even more depressing as a teacher when you have like people you saw in person last hour and then you're looking at foreheads, and it's hard to keep the energy going up when you know what it's like to see people in person and then foreheads.